Hey guys, so my name is Bill Ratliff. This is my first podcast, so don't judge me too hard. All right, I've been working very hard to get here, and it's a lot of work. I mean, gathering all this information, getting equipment that you can edit and those type of things, and I'm self-editing, everything because I was like trying to get people involved, and people don't do what they say you're going to do, and you kind of get irritated. You're like, man, just edit my stuff. So I said, forget it. I'm going to learn how to do it. So I started learning editing and just about everything I could dive my hands into so I could just do it myself and not have to depend on anybody. And even paying people. I mean, this is crazy. Paying people a lot of money for them not to do their job. And so I just started, kind of got into that place to where if I'm going to do this, then I want to be my own captain. Failures that brought me to winning. So that's extremely exciting on where we are now, but people look and they only see where you are now. They don't see how you got there. They don't see that I was a kid that struggled in school that had dyslexia and ADHD, and now I can say that confidently. You look at guys like Kevin O'Leary. I mean, he also had dyslexia and the same battles, ADHD and those type of things, and you see where he's at now. And it's most of the time that we can be more difficult to teach, but we learn a lot faster on our own. And I've kind of embraced that. Even getting into the heating and cooling field where we are now. And, me and my wife, own a multi-million-dollar heating and cooling company. We've grinded from the ground up. It was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of challenges. Man, we learned a ton. I'm not going to lie, we learned a ton. So in that aspect, I'm going to go through what that ton is. What did I learn? What did I learn not to do? And I always had more ambition than I did brains is what I felt like. I really did not care to go at it, and no matter what it was. I care how big or how tall or whatever the case, we're going to go learn. So in that aspect, you're going to fail. You're going to learn. You're going to fail. But failure is not just failing. So sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. And that's one of my favorite statements ever. And you don't fail. I got a kid right now that plays D1 football, and I drill that into his head. You don't fail. You learn. You learn. You learn. You learn. I got a kid that was a state wrestler, and the same concept, and he was a D1 wrestler. And I said, you learn. You learn. You learn. And I drilled that into my kids. I have 5 kids, FYI. So, but I was king of that. I was truly king of that. I was not afraid to fail. Sometimes you fail. Sometimes you're going to fail. But let me tell you what the most important thing to business is. You need to look right here. All right? I'm going to tell you right now the secret to business. You ready for the secret? I'm going to reveal it. It's magical and it's a get-rich-quick scheme. And here it is. You ready? You got to go. You got to do it, and you got to do it now. You got to punch somebody in the face. You got to do it. You got to take the chances. Now, I ain't saying to go out there and just run out there and just do it. You got to get educated. Like on this podcast thing, I've been educating myself to death, trying to see how other people did it, what drove their success, what kind of videos to do. And I don't know if I'm doing it right or not, but I've decided that I'm just going to do it like I always do it, and I'm going to do it my way. I'm just going to be who I am, keep it real. And trying to encourage somebody that needs to hear this. Maybe there's me on the other side of that camera that's thinking in their head, man, I don't know, because school has told me that I am not successful. That's what school told me. School told me that I'm going to struggle in life. And I'll never forget it when looking at some of the books that Robert Kiyosaki wrote, which was one of the best ones ever that started me out, was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it was awesome because in that book, he talks about real teachers and fake teachers. And now I ain't trying to slam on teachers. I'm telling you about a book, okay? His dad was the superintendent of the schools in Hawaii, and his rich dad, he called his rich dad, was a guy starting out with like a screen door and wood floors and just a small house in Hawaii, and he ended up owning the majority of beaches in Hawaii because the guy had the right mentality, the right mindset in doing it. So whether you did good in school, whether you didn't do good in school, has zero reflection of your account balance, has zero reflection of your success. It does not matter. Now, I'm not saying education don't matter. Education matters tremendously when it comes to business. You got to get educated. Okay, now some of that education may fall in the lap of other guys who have been there before. That's all education. Focusing on the education that's necessary to achieve what you're trying to achieve, that's got to be the most important education value that you can have. I came from the poorest community potentially in the United States. I know it's in the top 10 for sure. I was in the projects in that community, so I wasn't just poor. I was the poorest of the poor. All right, and so I had nothing going for me. Not good in school, but I was good in sports, and I think that drove me to where I am today. Is I found what I was good at, and I just went all in. But it drove me to a place. It drove me to a place that I'm telling you right now, that where I am today, and that is me and my wife currently own a multi-million-dollar heating and cooling company. So we're trying our goals right now. I'm going to try to help you if you have ambitions to own a company, to be a service company, to whatever the case may be. The first thing I'm going to tell you is this: it's hard. The second thing I'm going to tell you is you're going to fail. The third thing I'm going to tell you is you need to do it, and you need to do it now. Every excuse that you create and make is just stopping you from your goal. I excelled immediately. You're talking a guy that went from making, $50,000 to $75,000 to $150,000 in 2005. So I loved it. I enjoyed it. I felt like I was good at it. It definitely, had a lot of my own challenges. But one of the most important things that somebody given me at that time was a book. And it was The Rich Dad Poor Dad. And it started me into reading like I had never read in my entire life. I dove into it head first. And, you're talking about somebody that if there's noise going around, I can't read. And I was reading these books. I was just so enwrapped in it. For whatever reason, I can drive and read. That don't make no sense. Don't do that. Don't do that. But back then I was doing it a lot because I had to drive a lot. So, that was before phones and videos and texts and all that good stuff. I drove a lot and I was reading a lot. And the good thing is I was on the road most of the time by myself in Arizona. Nobody else out there but me, just driving around, And with that said, I learned so much at that time that it increased my ambition. Like I was so pumped to do it. So when did I start? Well, me and my wife moved back to Columbus, Ohio, and things did not go as planned. They just did not go as planned. Everything went south. We found ourselves late on our rent. We found ourselves struggling to survive. We found ourselves in massive debt. And, I did the one thing that made most sense. I started a heating and cooling company. Why? I do not know. At that time, I should have had a little bit more preparation. But I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this. And it was a grind. I think the first year of business, we did $30,000. And yeah, that's right. You can't even survive on $30,000. We did. I don't know how we survived on $30,000. We had 5 kids and made $30,000. And it was like, what in the world? And then the next year was $150,000. Then the next year was $300,000. And the next year was $400,000 or $500,000. And the next year was $600,000-$700,000. And then the next year was $1 million. And then the next million after that, it was a couple million and $3 million. It just kept climbing all the way up. And it was hard work, dedication, focus, not giving up on any single things, getting knocked down, getting beat up. But right in the middle of that mess, right around 2014, I was a sole proprietor at the time. And I knew a little bit about corporations after reading these books and stuff like that. So basically, we were acting as a sole proprietor. Even though we was incorporated, we was acting as a sole proprietor. But truth be known, we was truly, we was incorporated. Just because you fill out the corporation papers does not make you incorporated. All right. We filled out the corporation papers, became incorporated, and acted as a sole proprietor. What does that mean? It means all the money that came in, we didn't pay ourselves. We were basically a 1099 to our own company. And we had to pay taxes on basically everything, and we got murdered. Okay, we got murdered in taxes. I think our taxes at the time was nearly $100,000 or plus. It was high. Okay, we were getting mugged in taxes because we did not know, and we was not educated at the time. My wife had been in school because when about 2011, 2012 rolled around, I see the writing on the wall, and she said, what can I do to help? I want to help. Well, remember, she is that 4.0 student that I wasn't, and she was very smart, and I said, I need your help. You want to be my partner? She said, yes. I said, cool, let's do this. I need you to go to school and get a accounting degree. So just a little ask, nothing too major, and she did. So she went to Liberty University, got her accounting degree, and we began to see how much that we kind of had messed up, and we didn't have all the answers. And I felt like that at that moment, guys, I hit the wall. This was a humongous change in my life. So I'm rewinding here from where we are now to about 2012. So 2014 rolled around, and you talking about all the pressure of the world, feeling like a failure, feeling like I've done everything wrong. Revenue was like $600,000 or $700,000 a year, and you would think that, man, you know, you're doing decent. You know, I mean, at that time, you're doing decent. You're getting there. You know, and no. I felt such like a failure because the tax men said I owed them a lot of money. The IRS wanted their money now. We began to see a lot of things that we did wrong. Well, my wife was educated on business at this point in time, and that's where she needed help. So personally, I feel like that you got to go and do it. You got to start it. You got to do it. Now, secondly, understand in our bubble, in our circle, there was nobody that had any concept or idea about business, but somebody had to break the mold. Somebody had to do it. So, with that said, you got me to learn from right now. If you're watching this video, learn from it. Learn from it. Don't be an idiot. Learn from it. All right? Get educated. I thought I was educated, and I was not educated. There was so much more that I had to learn, so much more that I had to do. So what ended up happening is we tried to merge with the company. Okay, and that company was a bigger disaster than we were. They talked a big game and had a big walk and big talk. And when my wife got to digging through their books, she was like, she come home that night, eyes big as saucers, and says, they're worse than we are. And I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, no, we're in thousands of dollars in debt. They are millions of dollars in debt. And I'm like, are you kidding? And she said, it's going downhill, and they don't even see that it's going downhill, but it's going downhill. So we reached out to the investor of that situation. It was a guy that invested into that business, and my wife was brought on later, and she was phenomenal with bookkeeping and stuff like that. Their books were a disaster, paper receipts everywhere. It made no sense. So she was able to go through all that. You talking about experience? You can't beat experience. I don't care what college you go to, you cannot beat experience. So he sent in his accountant. So for a year, my wife and their accountant sit side by side, and this girl was a goat. She had been doing it for a long time. She was really, really good at the job, and my wife got to sit next to her and learn from her and dissect this thing, and she became awesome at it. And now who she is now is phenomenal. My wife is the goat now at finances, accounting, and those type of things, bookkeeping and managing. I mean, she literally is the GOAT. She's got experience after experience after experience. And so I couldn't be more happy in that situation, because I believe she truly is the GOAT, you know. And that is something that you got to have. So one of the books that Rich Dad Poor Dad said there's 3 people that you got to have that's most important in your life if you're going to be in business, okay? For one, you got to have your lawyer, all right? So I got a couple of those, but I got one particularly that I'm pretty cool with that, yes, I understand. I get it, all right? 2, accountant. You got to have your accountant, okay? And 3, your books have got to be right. So these are the 3 main people in business that are the literally most important things that you can have in business, and I could not agree with them more. So with that said, I mean, here we are, man, so we came back from that mess. We got out of it. There was a lot of things that wasn't fulfilled on that end. We got out of it, and boom, when we got out of it, hit the ground running. It was awesome. I was excited, and since then, things have been going well. Our company is structurally sound. We operate like a true S corporation. We are employees of our company currently right now. We have, nearly 20 employees with our company in the heating and cooling world and service world. And there was never an issue with service. We were really good at what we did with what, as far as service and fixing and repair and customer service and helping homeowners and those type of things. We are phenomenal at it. But the one thing that we struggled with was one of the most important things of any business was the financials. So you can be a dog at what you do. You can be the best at what you do. But if you don't understand the business, that's a problem. And my goal is to help you in this area. So my goal is to help you understand business and help not follow in my footsteps and all the mistakes that I made. but be victorious in helping you do that. We definitely can help you do that. So this is my introduction. This is the first one. This is where I came from. This is what I am. Like I said, come from rags truly to where we are now, a multi-million-dollar company. And God has been good. And so the next true story is going to start my next podcast, part 1, which is how do I start? So that's part 1. All right. How do I start? All right, guys. Hope this is helpful. I'm excited. This is the first. And give me feedback. Let me know. Remember, subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe. Follow me on Facebook. And give me feedback. I really want to know. It's my first one. A little nervous, so I'm getting better. I promise. Just got to work it out. All right. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good day.